So let's talk about business mergers and acquisitions and why I believe that acquiring businesses is one of the best wealth accelerators that you can have as a business owner. So this all started with this idea that as Australians, we obsess over property as the primary wealth building strategy that we use. For the vast majority of business owners, they're not building their business with the purposeful intent of wanting to sell that business. Maybe they've got a fleeting thought that they want to exit the business one day, but they don't have a real plan that's set into place. And for most business owners, they're focusing on trying to take cash flow out of their business to supplement their lifestyle and look to build a property portfolio. Now, I love property. Anybody who's been following me knows that I believe property is one of the fundamental principles that we use in order to build wealth. However, it is not the be-all and end-all of your wealth building strategy. Let's break down some of the numbers. So for the vast majority of property acquisitions that you will make, they will be cash flow negative. At the best case, they will be break even. The idea is that there's so many successful property investors out there that are asset rich and cash poor because we buy real estate not for the cash flow, but for the future capital growth. Now, this means that you are basically going to have your surplus consumed trying to service and maintain your portfolio. And I've seen a large number of business owners and property investors find themselves in a position where they have to sell properties because they just can't afford to keep them. We had a particular client that basically had a pretty substantial multi-seven-figure property portfolio, and basically they were on the verge of going broke. They were forced to sell their properties even though they really didn't want to, and it is going to set them back on their wealth building strategy many years. Now, the second component is the growth. Growth in property is decent, right? It's 4 to 8% per annum. And of course, because of your cash on cash return, because you're typically only putting in 10 or 20% of the purchase price, that magnifies your returns 5 to 10 times and basically means that you have money compounding on bigger numbers. And because you're only putting in a small amount, then that increases your cash on cash return to 50 to 100%. Now, the challenge still is that you need to be investing for 10 to 15 years at a minimum in order to have that compounding work its magic and put you in a position where you can be financially free. So, this is not to say that we should not be investing in property, but the biggest issue that most property investors face is that they get to a point on their journey whereby they hit their debt ceiling. The banks won't let them borrow any more money because they do not have enough income to service more debt. All of us have a finite borrowing capacity, and that usually means that for the vast majority of people, they'll buy 2, maybe 3 properties, and then they're going to be tapped out unless they increase their income. So here comes the business. The idea of business is that it is primarily a cash flow strategy. We grow a business because we want to make profits, and we can use that profits to turn into personal wealth. Business acquisitions is no different. So at the get-go, most small service businesses, we're talking below $5 million of turnover, will be valued on average between 1 and 3 times its profitability. So that basically means that let's assume at the high end of the spectrum at 3 times, you are basically getting about a 33% yield on that investment compared to, let's call it a 4 or 5% if you're lucky on property. Substantially different profile. The second thing is that because it is an active income, meaning that I personally acquire businesses that I have skill set and that I have experience in order to grow and scale, that I have the ability to control the growth of that profit and essentially get a higher return on investment as a result of that growth. The other benefit being is that as you are growing that profit, you're actually growing the business value because the business is valued at a multiple of its profit. And better yet, if you're building a group of businesses that can work together, they basically leverage the same clients, they allow you to capture more share of wallet, they allow you to diversify your client base, capture other clients that are stickier for longer, all of these factors, then we create what we call arbitrage opportunities, whereby you can increase the valuation multiple that is used, allowing you to multiply your return on investment. So for example, in our business, we acquire a business anywhere between 1 and 3 times profitability because we have a diversified group of businesses that span a variety of business services and financial services, and they all basically, most of our clients opt in for multiple of our services, then our valuation multiple goes up. So we might buy a business at 3 times, and then we bring it into the business at 6 times conservatively. I'm confident that if we took our business to market and we sold it, we would potentially be able to get 10 times. So there's arbitrage opportunities that we have available to us as a result of this acquisition strategy. So the big thing here is, for most people, is that they don't look at business acquisitions as a strategy because either A, they don't understand it, 2, they're not confident in their own existing business operations to then take on additional businesses. Basically, they're going to be throwing more fuel onto the fire. And I guess the last part is that they're so focused on other wealth building strategies that basically aren't setting them up for long-term success, because the reality is, having worked with thousands of clients and having helped them build over $2 billion in combined wealth, if your strategy doesn't have longevity in it, for example, property, you're going to hit a debt ceiling and you can only buy 2 or 3, then that's potentially going to keep you on the hamster wheel for 20 years plus in order for you to create any kind of financial freedom. So this is why I feel that business acquisitions is a strategy that business owners should be considering. For example, you look at a business that has $100,000 a year in profit, you will pay between $100,000 and $300,000 for that. There's opportunity for you to be able to leverage and borrow money to do that, once again increasing your cash on cash return, allowing you to bolt on additional income to your business. It's not passive, it does require work. However, with economies of scale, you can implement a leadership team, management team, who can take care of all of that stuff for you, and it can allow you to create additional profits, which can then allow you to buy more property and build more wealth outside of your businesses. So, food for thought, guys. If this is something that's of interest to you, I'm in the process of putting together a framework basically that we share with our private clients to show them how they can actually build wealth through acquisitions. If you're interested, let me know in the comments. Happy to share it with you once it's ready.